Hello and welcome to the Time2Shine talk show. This is your host, Ruxara Sayed, and today I'm in conversation with Tom Hanley and Sarah Coldwell, the founders of OEWorld. Welcome both of you on my show, and I'm so glad to have you today, and I'm so glad to be connected on this platform.
Thank you very much, Raksha. It's so nice to be invited to your program. We're very happy to be here.
Yeah, and I'm personally very excited, to be a part of this, episode because I myself, I was an OET educator and I'm so interested in this field that this exam is so helpful out there for the healthcare professionals. And it is a language proficiency test. So it is really great that both of you have started the initiative to prepare an online preparation course platform like OEWorld to help the individuals out there to prepare and crack this OET test. So my very first question to you is, Tom, what inspired both of you to create this online preparation course platform?
I will let Sarah start first.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Well, I will tell you. Well, Tom and I are both OET examiners. We've been working with OET Australia since I think I've been working there since 2015. 2016, around this time. And Tom, I think you joined OET 2019?
I think 2018, yeah, 2018.
2018.
Yeah.
So we've got quite a lot of experience working with OET Australia, working with the candidates.
Wonderful.
And yeah, I think what inspired Tom and I to offer that extra help, that additional place where candidates could go, was that, first of all, we were seeing the candidates struggle with the exam. And Raksha, as you said, the OET exam is an English exam. And many of the candidates, they come to the OET exam and they think that it's a test of their medical knowledge. So we really wanted to make sure that we created something, a platform or a program that really focused on cementing that English language foundation. So without that English language foundation, the students find it very difficult to pass the OET exam. And that's one thing that's, I think, is different with OEWorld and other providers, is that we do concentrate a lot on making sure that candidates have that English language foundation before they start thinking about the OET exam.
Exactly. That's true. So what challenges, do you think that healthcare professionals face when preparing for the OET? The common challenges which they face, yes.
So what we find is a lot of healthcare professionals, they struggle to prepare. And probably one of the reasons is, the work-life balance. So let's say you're a nurse.
Yes.
You have a young family. It's quite difficult to juggle all these things together. So that was another reason why we went 100% online. So with OEWorld, you can access the platform 24/7. So for example, if you're doing a 12-hour shift, or even during the day, you could take a few minutes to pop in, pop back out, go back to work. So that was one major challenge. And we said, okay, let's come up with that solution. Okay. Also, we feel that some of the candidates, they struggle to prepare. And as Sarah mentioned originally, we've created tailored, modules to help them prepare certain strategies that will help them in the OET exam.
That's really true that you told the work-life balance, because many individuals in any profession, whether if they want to pursue or a degree, or they want to do the further studies, it is very difficult for us to find time between the work and studies. Every individual, I must say 90% of them, they find time, find it difficult to, juggle between work and studies. So it is really great that you guys have prepared an online preparation course platform so that people can access the materials, the video lessons in their own time. So that's really great. But Sarah.
So what I was going to say, exactly what Tom was saying there, was that also the way that we've structured the course, as Tom mentioned, even if they have 5-10 minutes during the day, they can come onto the platform, complete an exercise and then go off. We also make sure that each day they get the content only for that specific day. So a lot of providers, we find, they say, okay, you've joined the course, here's all the material. And the students feel really overwhelmed because suddenly
Yes,
they
yes.
have all this material. They don't really know what to do with that material. They don't know how to even
True, true.
attempt it. So by having just that one day's activities, today you work on this, this, and this, at the end of the day, when you finish those activities, you're free. You can go and watch TV, you can go and play with your kids, you can
Right,
cook dinner, you
right.
can do whatever you like. So having that, that
Portion.
material broken down into day by day
Yes.
scenarios, day by day study material, I think it's much more efficient and much more friendly to these people that have to
Yes,
work
and it is
so
useful as
so
well
hard.
as the individual. They will not get stressed up by so many, contents
Yeah.
listed up over there. And yes, even we as humans will get confused, like what to
Yeah.
study first, which topic to take first, which topic is easier, which topic is difficult. So this is it is a great step that we are only uploading that material which we want the individual to complete or the student to complete in a day. So
Yeah.
it's amazing, I must say. But
Thank you.
moving forward, like Sarah, how do you tailor your OET preparation course to meet the needs of individuals with different, language proficiency tests
That's a really good
levels?
question, Aksha. A very good question, actually. As you know, I'm an English teacher myself, so I'm very aware of having students in a class that are all different levels. So what we do on the very first day when a student comes to OEWorld, they enroll in our course. The very first thing that we do is offer them a diagnostic exam, and that diagnostic exam it's a 40-minute exam. It has 90 questions. What it does, it really shows us, Tom and myself, our other English teachers that we have, exactly where that student is in terms of their English language proficiency, in terms of their English language capabilities. So from that particular diagnostic test's results, from the results from that test, we are able to make a really, really good judgment about how long it's going to take that particular candidate to reach the goal of getting the OET exam. And also
Wonderful.
it's going to give us really in-depth information about the weaknesses of that candidate. So for example, in the diagnostic test, a lot of our students, they can breeze through the English grammar because
Yes.
they've had a lot of training in English, so they can breeze through those questions. But then they may get stuck with the reading comprehension, or they may find the listening part of the diagnostic test challenging.
Yes. Yes.
And what we
Yes.
can see from that is that we know that this particular student needs less time working with English grammar, but a lot more time focusing on reading or writing. And we have the tools and the capability and the teachers to address
Yes.
those weaknesses. So that's another reason why OEWorld is really different to other providers. We really think about each student, and we try to go for those strengths, obviously, and to help them get over those weaknesses.
Yes, and each student, they are different from each other. Like if one student is good in listening, the other will be good in reading. So
Perfect.
so mapping out the strategy to help out everyone collectively is very, very important. And
Yeah.
I think this strategy is OEWorld is handling very, efficiently in a very good way. So yes, that's really important for today's generation and students as well. They really
Yeah.
require that.
Yeah.
So how do you
Look,
incorporate? Yes, Tom, you can go
sorry,
ahead.
Ruksha, sorry for interrupting you. Just before we move on, Sarah, when we were developing the online program, we also incorporated the CEF4 framework. So for the
Okay.
audience around the world, the CEF4 is the common European framework reference for languages, let's say for teaching assessments,
Mhm.
excuse me. So for example, all the modules, all the
I think Tom is frozen.
Yes,
assessments are linked throughout the course. And a lot of language learners will be aware of that, and yourself as well. And
yes, yes.
and Sarah could even vouch for that as well. So everything is all connected to that. So our teachers are, internationally qualified. So as Sarah said, we'll know what
Yes.
level they're at and what extra work they need. And, they could have a separate,
Yes.
upskilling English class for those candidates as well,
Exactly. So moving forward, Tom, when it is very important to relate real world scenarios to a medical context. So how do you both, incorporate real world scenarios or medical context into your OET preparation materials?
I think Tom is
Yes.
frozen.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Sorry, guys. Okay.
Yes, yes.
Sorry. So what we have done is we've created videos from an English what we call upskilling perspective to the OET specific side of it, and use official OET, for example, role plays. Now, the
Okay.
reason we're allowed to use that material is we have PPP status, which means we're accredited by OET in Australia. So, for example, if we did something about the OET role play, myself and Sarah and the rest of our team, we do several videos on how to, go from, I suppose, a not so good role play to a very good role play. And we analyze
Wonderful.
that for our candidates,
Mm.
So that's one reason
That's
there.
wonderful.
Also, we have, one of the reasons. And also on top of that, we use a lot of authentic listening and speaking skills, which have real life situations, Sarah, do you have anything else to add to that?
Well, actually, Raksha, we have some really interesting research in the use of virtual reality in classes as well. So
Wonderful.
Tom and myself are actually in the middle of looking at ways that AI and virtual reality could help the candidates in simulating those real world scenarios, particularly in the speaking part of the exam. So, just watch this space. It's not completely there yet, but in the near future, you may see some AI, maybe some avatars who want to give lessons and some
all the best wishes, all the best wishes for
thanks.
including this,
Watch this
incorporating
space.
this one. Yes, because
Yeah.
in many edtech industries as well, where they are dealing with schools and where they're dealing with students, they are also incorporating AI into their LMS, and they are especially as you said in speaking exams, many IELTS classes or preparation courses websites where people deal with online preparation, even they are planning and they are focusing more on the virtual reality and incorporating real world scenarios, so that student will feel that kind of setup and they will practice in a more efficient way.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's right. And when the students understand what the classroom looks like for the speaking
Yes.
exam, for example, and they understand, how the exam is going to take place, I think it's much
Exactly.
easier for them. They've already practiced it a few times. They've had that opportunity, even though it is an avatar, you really can't tell these days,
Yes,
Both Tom and I look pretty avatarish right now, actually. So people can't really tell that, who's an avatar and who's not. So I think that this part, keeping it really real and trying to incorporate as much practice is the key. Because one thing that we have noticed along the time is that students, like any student worldwide, any student of any age, students don't particularly like to do homework, or they don't like to continually repeat things doing practice. OET exam, you need to practice it. It's an exam. You need to understand the techniques. You need to understand the format of the exam. And more importantly, you need to understand what the examiners are looking for. It's not about as we said before, it's not about, well, I'm the best doctor in the world, I'm the best nurse in the world. That could be, that's fantastic, good for you. We're looking at how you look after your patients, and we need to see the ways that you look after your patients. So without that, you're never going to, pass the OET exam. And it takes practice, it takes feedback, and
Yes.
more
Yes,
practice.
as you said, Sarah, it's like important to focus more on the techniques and the strategies of the
Yeah.
exam and knowing the format. Because many students, what they do is mostly they focus only on the theoretical knowledge and what is given
Yeah.
there, repeating and revising it again and again without
Yeah.
being aware about the format. So it is very
That's
much
right.
important, yes, to first focus on the format, then knowing the techniques, and then practicing it.
That's right. That's exactly right. And having that feedback from OET examiners, we have a lot of examiners in our teaching staff. Having that real life feedback and that advice, I think, is really important, because
Yes.
otherwise students they tend to get they tend to look at clips on video channels. They tend to go to
Yes.
maybe different kinds of preparation centers that maybe also don't quite understand the test like Tom and I do. And, I guess they just continually make the same mistakes over and over again. So we want to stop that right now. We want to stop these
Exactly.
mistakes, and we want them to be on the path to success, as soon as
Yes.
possible.
Yes,
And
that's
just one more
great.
point. Sorry, Ruksha. One more point about what Sarah was saying.
Yes.
Why we're looking at AI, the big buzzword at the moment, is again going back to the start of the discussion. We were talking about the work-life balance.
Yes.
Many years ago, you'd be able to go face to face with a tutor and practice some role play. Now that option is kind of out of the window for these guys because they're working long shifts. So having
Yes.
that option as well helps that work-life balance with an AI
Mm.
avatar, as Sarah was saying. So that's another thing
Yeah.
that will help them.
That's right. And it would be
Right.
expensive for people to practice. Like if they wanted to
Yes.
practice 6 role plays, they wanted to
Yep.
practice every day for a week. Imagine how much
Mm.
money that would cost them. So
Yes.
using virtual reality is another way to keep those costs
Yeah.
down.
Yes. And it is the most efficient way we can say.
Mm.
Yes. So moving to the last question and the most interesting question of this session, can you elaborate on any partnerships or collaborations you have with the healthcare institutions to provide additional support to your students?
Yeah, of course. That's a really great question. And thanks a lot for bringing that up, because Tom and I, when we set up OEWorld, we had one aim in mind, and that was to see our fantastic nurses and our wonderful doctors pass the OET exam and move on with their career, right? So what we did in order to create that and to be able to meet those goals, we partnered up with a number of recruitment agencies in Australia, New Zealand, in America, in the UK, in Ireland. We have people in place in all of those countries, and they have jobs available. Not just any jobs, they have fantastic opportunities available for the nurses, particularly for the nurses,
Great.
coming from India, coming from the Philippines, Sri Lanka. These places, they are highly skilled individuals. Indian nurses, for example, are in huge demand.
Yes.
Doctors from Pakistan, huge demand across the world,
Yes.
simply
True.
because their education level is one of the highest in the world.
Yes.
The Bachelor of Nursing from India is really a fantastic course, and all the
Yes.
nurses that take that, they pass that exam. They pass that course. They graduate with a Bachelor of Nursing. The level of nursing knowledge and ability that they have is second to none. So you can
Yes.
imagine why they are absolutely in demand all over the world. Knowing that and
Yes.
having these nurses with these really great qualifications, we really want to see them in better opportunities. They're young, they've got young families. Why not move to Australia? Why not move to New Zealand? Why not start your life over there and build a life? In Australia, we are crying out for nurses. In the UK, in Ireland, everywhere, we're looking for
Yes.
these kind of individuals. So Tom and I are really passionate about making sure that that nurse, that doctor, they get to that right opportunity that suits them perfectly. And it's a
Exactly.
win-win for everybody, Raksha. It's a win-win for the country, for that hospital, and for our nurses and our
Yes.
doctors.
And the facilities which they get, by migrating to Australia or in any other country, it is immense. Like, the hard work which they
Yeah.
do, and then in return, which they get. So, as you said, it is a win-win situation for both.
Yeah, totally. Totally. We appreciate the nurses and doctors. We really look after them. They have unions that look after them. If they work 1 minute overtime, they get paid for that money, for that overtime. So we really take care of them, and we really value the experience that they can bring. So we want to make sure that those nurses and doctors are, you know, matched up to really good opportunities.
That's wonderful. Tom, Mr. Tom, do you want to add anything in this?
Yeah, I think I agree 100% what Sarah says, and you know, I'm not sure if she mentioned it, but we also are very aware of what happens when some of our candidates, or even other people's candidates, end up
Yes.
going to the wrong recruiter. So when we do collaborate or make an agreement with any recruiter now or in the future, we look for ethical recruiters.
Yes.
Because the people, especially from India or even Pakistan, you know, they pay so much money to these recruiters, and
Yes,
once
yes.
they end up going to my country, like Ireland, or even Australia, like Sarah's country, they end up in the wrong work environment.
And it is
You
sad.
know,
It is happening.
Yeah.
It is
yeah,
happening nowadays in a higher
yeah,
rate, you must say. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
correct.
very sad. And as Tom said, ethical recruitment is the way to go. So ethical
Yes.
recruitment, for people who are not sure what that means, it first of all is you don't pay to be recruited. Any of the
Yes.
nurses or any of the doctors who are in the UAE or who are listening to this podcast do not pay a penny to a recruiter for a job. That job is you don't pay for anything to do with that job. Of
True.
course, there are costs involved with getting airline tickets and visas and all that kind of stuff, but to actually get a job, there is absolutely no cost involved. And if any recruiter asks for money up front, that's an unethical recruiter. So
Unethical.
just be aware not to
Rightly said.
deal with
Yes.
those people. Ethical
Yes.
recruitment is the only way.
Yes. So thank you so much, Tom and Sarah, for joining today's discussion. And it was a fruitful conversation indeed. And I hope our viewers, mostly those individuals who want to pursue a career in the healthcare industry, would benefit a lot from this session. And I hope that you both wish you all the very best and all the good wishes from the Time to Shine community, and all the very best for all your future projects and endeavors.
Thank you very much, Raksha, for having us on the show tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you. And we look forward to placing wonderful nurses and